Hello everyone, welcome back to another figure review. Today will be the InArt double pack, technically triple pack, of the Batman from the 2022 movie. This is the all-in 3-pack, but I am selling the Bat Signal, so I have no plans of opening that and reviewing it. But the two here is definitely staying in my collection. You know, definitely not getting rid of these guys. It's just that for convenience wise with price, the all-in 3 was personally the better choice money wise. But yeah, what you have here are two amazing figures from InArt. I think they're probably the best that this company has done so far, without, you know, the recent Cavill for comparison, or the Harry Potter stuff, or the Lord of the Rings stuff, because I don't have them. They do look amazing, but they're not personally for me. And also, there are some negatives with the company. I do think the wait times are really obnoxious at this point. And I mean, it's not really the wait time that's the big problem for me. It's the fact that certain collectors are getting it 6 to a year advanced compared to the other collectors. So I'm not a fan of that. But it's kind of a win-lose scenario where, do you want stuff this quality in your collection? If so, then the wait is probably warranted. And yeah, what I'm going to do now is a quick review, pretty much just a showcase with some commentary, you know, because I feel like everyone has reviewed this at this point, and I'm not a fan of, you know, going through the accessories. Here's this, here's that. I more prefer talking about the source material and why I even collect this in the first place, and talk about the company itself and future plans, and also potentials for this property in the future. You know, I'd much rather talk about that and intertwine it with a figure review than, you know, do articulation demonstrations and all that. I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, if you guys do enjoy this, make sure you like and sub, and we'll get right into it. So I thought I'll start with the Batman first, and unfortunately, the Batman itself is probably the one that has the most negatives. Mind you, the negatives are very, very minor, but out of the two, it's actually Batman that I feel has a couple of nitpicks in my opinion. So I think the first one is the glaring and jarring obvious cape. And you can see here, it's a bit messy. You know, it's a big puffer jacket style wired cape, so it doesn't drape naturally. It is a bit to work with, and I think what I've got here is the best you can in terms of taming it. And yeah, overall, I would have liked the option to have both drape cape and wired cape. You know, I feel a company that gives options for other characters. For example, the Henry Cavill Superman has a wired option and a drape option, and I feel if InArt was going to give options for certain characters, do it for all of them. But other than that, I think the figure itself is perfect. As you can see though, as I pan down, the display base is omitted from my Batman figure, and that's because I'm not a fan of that base. The design. I like the magnet options and the movability that the magnets have, but I'm not a fan of like the pancake bat signal. I would have much preferred something from the actual film grabbed into figure format as a base. You know, just some cobblestone, some bar or concrete, anything. I'm not a fan of that pancake bat signal. Similar to their statue version of this. You know, Queen Studio did a statue that was pretty controversial because it had Batman standing on like a miniature Batmobile, and I know a lot of people weren't happy with that. And for me, I've got the same opinions with this version. I'm just not a fan of that squashed bat signal thing that they did. But other than that, you know, again, they're minor things, they're more personal things. I think the figure itself overall is executed really, really good. And this, in my opinion, was the big test for InArt, because this is their first superhero that they've done. And I was very interested when they first started to see how they can execute a superhero suit. Because, you know, doing Joker and Gandalf and Harry Potter as well, you know, they're just people in clothes. Very standard clothing. But this was the test, you know, because it is so much different mixed media going on. So much different weaves and armature. I was very interested. And I am very happy with what they've done here. They've done really, really good. I mean, in my opinion, they've outshined Hot Toys doing this own figure here. Putting them side by side, I would say this guy is the clear winner. Also, I want to add my quick opinions on the movie itself. I think it's a really, really good movie. I do think, however, the negative I have is maybe the time that this was made in. You know, I think, and, you know, it's not a lie, I think it is true that superheroes are heavily oversaturated today. And I think this movie is unfortunate to be made in this time frame because it's buried in that oversaturation time period for superheroes, where I think this movie will probably be more appreciated later down the line, just because it would weigh out with all the superhero shit that you get today. You know, people would pick the best from today's era and continue to watch it later on. And also, I love the design of this suit too. I think it's my favourite tactical looking Batman. You know, obviously you got Bale from Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises. You've got Affleck's multiple tactical suits. I think this is the best looking tactical suit on screen. I'm still torn between overall, like, animalistic looking Batman, because you got Keating and Bale from Begins. They're kind of like the mystical element of the bat suit, and I still think maybe Bale from Begins is my favourite suit, live action. this is a very, very close second with the Keating from either movie, because I think both suits are pretty good in those movies. And just quickly before I forget, I remember people had a big issue when unboxing this, and they didn't like the fact that the belt came off the figure, it wasn't attached to it, and you had to kind of put the capsules in it yourself. And a lot of people were saying that it was extremely difficult to do. I did not have that impression at all. I found it very easy to slot the stuff in. I do think for the future, InArt shouldn't have stuff detached just to make it easier on collectors, but I don't think it was a struggle that people portrayed it to be. I found it pretty easy to find everything. You know, there's a massive instruction booklet if you get stuck, and at the same time, you know, look at reference pictures as well. I find this type of stuff fun as well, to kind of assemble my stuff. You know, I definitely didn't find a hindrance in it. And quickly before I pop up the rooted Unmask sculpt, I usually love doing like side-by-side stills of my inspiration of the pose. And I really, really love this scene where Batman is interacting with Martinez. Pretty much throughout the movie, I really liked them two kind of butting heads at the start and kind of almost becoming like buddies at the end. But yeah, I really, really like that scene. This is pretty much like the scene where the carpet tucker is revealed. Actually, you know what? I wanted to pan down here because you got a gripping hand here, and I would have loved to have the actual carpet tool part of the accessories. And it's pretty weird that InArt didn't give us that. You know, out of everything InArt gave, I would have loved a die cast carpet tucker. But yeah, this is an awesome, awesome pose. I love the rolly eyes, and I really, really love the open mouth expression. And yeah, I really, really love this cowl too. Hones back to Gotham by Gaslight. I see that a lot with the inspiration of the cowl and the collar piece. Also Lee Bermejo's version of Batman, especially Damned, Batman Damned. And yeah, the armor padding is really, really influenced by Bermejo's work. And yeah, what I'm going to do now is quickly show you the Unmask sculpt, because that is a very, very insanely detailed sculpt. So just quickly, we got the head sculpt here and the nice little display base. Again, the nice little like pool of liquid metal. Again, always reminds me of the T1000. And I think this likeness is 10 out of 10. This is an amazing sculpt. Obviously the rooted hair, so you do have to take care of it. It is obviously got product in it, and it is styled before you open it up. But if you want to tame it a bit more, personally for this character and this version of the head sculpt, I don't want to tame it because it has that look of him just taking the cowl off. It reminds me a lot of the scene where it is revealed that his parents had ties with Falcone. But yeah, this is a really, really awesome sculpt. As you can see there, you can see the texturing of the skin. That's actually embedded in the sculpt. So when you run your finger across, you can feel that texturing. It's not like an old school Hot Toys where it's that paint effect. And I think modern Hot Toys have applied this attention of detail on their sculpts now. Roll the eyes as well. This is a bit difficult to get to the eyes because you've got to pull away the hair. Because this hair is messier than the other one, I feel a bit more safer to take the risk to mess it to move the eyes. But with the other sculpt, I kind of kept it stock as is, and I'll show you that later, but his eyes are pretty much staring down, so it's pretty much perfect for me. But yeah, you kind of have to pop the plate up and roll the eyes, and they're all single eyes for obviously each iris. I much prefer that than what they did with their Joker, where it's that one joint controls two eyes, because it becomes cockeyed. So I much prefer this. Awesome sculpt. I'm not going to use it on the figure, but because it has this nice display base, it would definitely be a side piece to it. So speaking of Bruce Wayne, I might as well bring him out and show you the details of that guy, because he's really good too. So we've got Bruce Wayne in the funeral scene of the mayor. And this, honestly, I think, as much as I love the bat suit, I think this is probably the best in the double pack. Just because how realistic it looks, how sleek it looks. The material of the suit and the jacket is really nice. And this is by far the best base in the collection. I love the cobblestone style base with the insignia of the cuffling that Alfred gave Bruce. And yeah, it's such a shame that the Batman doesn't have a base like this. Something that sets the scene, that is actually in the movie, not a pancake bat signal. And you got the Corvette keys. You got the cashmere jacket. And again, the rooted hair sculpt here. This is the one that I was very hesitant to futz with. So this is the stock position that InArt chose for the eye pose, and I think it's pretty good. And just an interesting thing that I caught on camera with the hands and the lighting that my room is in right now, you can see he's got scars on his knuckles and bruising. That's a really nice touch. I just did a review recently on the Kaustic Plastik Dracula, and those hands are just as good as these. I love how companies are finally giving something as simple as hands more attention to detail. And I love the skin texturing that they gave Pattinson here. He's got his pale complexion. Something that I think Hot Toys missed a little bit is his actual pigment. And the setting of Gotham in the movie was cold. You know, it looked like everyone was just freezing. And yeah, I really love this likeness. It's really good. I'm thinking it's the same as the unmasked cow with the panda eyes. I think it's the same sculpt. But it's just very, very interesting how different panda eyes, makeup, and hair can change an expression. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Overall, again, amazing figures, amazing movie. I'm really, really intrigued in what InArt have installed next. They have said that they're going to announce stuff at Wonderfest, I believe, in Hong Kong, if I'm correct on that. I'm interested to see more stuff other than superheroes. You know, the Lord of the Rings stuff, the Harry Potter stuff is really, really nice. It's not for me though. I would love to see an alien figure or a Terminator figure or something in the realm of sci-fi or horror. And a lot of people will be saying that Disney owns the rights to Alien, but if I do remember, they kind of have separated the license of HR Giga's work. So I think Queen Studios can obtain the Alien license if it's somehow separated from the movies. So I think something like a Big Chap can be separated from the movie adaptation and be a HR Giga license. But yeah, that's just me nerding out on Alien. But back to Batman here and Bruce Wayne. Amazing figures. Again, in my opinion, I would go for the all-in 3-pack. Or at least buy these two guys. You know, if you don't want the bat signal, if it's too big for your display, which personally, I think it's just hogging room. You know, if you've got a Batman only display, I guess, but for me it wasn't needed. I only got it because it was the cheaper option. But these two guys are a must need in my collection. And I'm very intrigued about the next installment of this movie. Oh, the Penguin. I completely forgot about the Penguin. The Penguin so far has been amazing. So, before the Batman Part 2, we got a good treat with the Penguin. And so far that's been amazing. That's given me massive long Halloween vibes. And villains I love to see in this version of Batman is maybe a more realistic take on Freeze. I've heard a lot of people fan theorize that they will do Freeze as a serial killer who's maybe, you know, freezing the bodies at the end, and that's how he gets his nickname. That would be nice, you know, that would be a unique take of that character. I think a lot of people though want more of the Court of Owls, and that's something I would really, really love. However, you would do need the fantastical thing with Court of Owls because you've got Talon, who's an immortal type character, clone. So you do need a bit of fantastic elements for Court of Owls. Another interesting character I would love is the original Clayface, who was a theatre performer who kind of dressed as different people. And yeah, I'm really, really interested. Just move away from Joker, you know, especially that version that they teased at the end. That was something I really didn't like. I wasn't that keen on that version of Joker. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure you like and sub. And I'll see you in the next one.